I'm Tammy. Welcome to our Prairie Farmhouse. Today I am going to be cleaning and sealing the thin brick that we have on our floor in the laundry room and also on the face of our fireplace. One of the big questions with brick, and especially since using the thin brick has become so popular, is if it is hard to maintain, if it's hard to keep clean, and what kind of maintenance goes along with it. I had all those same questions before we put it in our house, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put my opinion out there that I think it's super easy. I love having it in our house. And although the new part of our house, you know, I'm just now getting around to sealing our brick over here. The older part of our house, as many of you probably already know, but in case you're new here, we built a tiny house out here on our land with the intention of adding on to it. I like the old home style. That was kind of what we planned to do. An old small house, and then add on a main house for it to look old, kind of like how they actually used to do it. So we lived in the tiny part of our house for about two to 3 years, and we had the thin brick on the bathroom floor in that part of our house. We have actually lived with the thin brick on a floor now for a few years. And I have just had no complaints with it. But one of the very important steps, of course, that I'm going to be sharing with you today is to seal it. Because of procrastination, I could do a whole nother video on that. Maybe I'll save that for another day. But I have procrastinated and put off sealing our brick that's on our floor and our fireplace here in the new addition. We haven't been in all that long, but that should have been something that I did right away. And I've put it off, and we ended up having one of our coldest days of the year so far. It dropped down into the 20s the other night, and I couldn't take it. I had to start a fire, so I ended up burning a wood fire in our fireplace. And I got some soot on the bricks, of course, which, you know, that goes along with having a real fireplace. But the problem was I hadn't sealed it yet. So I've had to do a little elbow grease and scrubbing on the brick behind me here on the fireplace. Clean the best that I can, get all the soot off of it. And now I'm going to be sealing it, so hopefully it'll be easier to clean the next time I get soot all over the fireplace. While I'm at it, I hadn't got the brick floor in the laundry room sealed yet, and luckily I've been holding my breath, but knock on wood, I hadn't got any spills of anything that would stain into the grout of the brick. So I got lucky there. I've basically just had to do basic maintenance and get it all cleaned and vacuumed up before I seal it. I have recently gotten this neat little mop/vacuum cleaner. It has been a whole game changer. I've been using it on our LVP flooring that's throughout the house. I've kind of replaced my daily sweeping with a broom with using this vacuum. I am loving it. And so I ran it across the brick floor to get it nice and clean before sealing it. And it actually works really, really good on the brick flooring too. The only thing, the little roller, I know it doesn't reach all the way down into all the crevices between the bricks to wash it like it does the surface of the bricks, but it does vacuum up any loose particles, dust, you know, anything like that that is in the grout. I'm really pleased with how clean it got my brick floor and got it ready to be sealed. Once the floor is clean and dry, it is ready for the first application of sealer. There are A few steps you can take before applying the sealer. You can use painter's tape and tape around the baseboards so that you're sure not to get any sealer on the baseboards in case it might stain them. You can cover the flooring that comes up to your brick flooring to be sure that you don't get any splatter or anything like that on them. But I like to live dangerously and I'm not gonna do those steps. So if you want to take those extra steps to make sure you don't get anything on your baseboards and flooring, be sure and do that. But I'm really bad at skipping steps like that. Even when it comes to painting, I'm always just get my bucket of paint and my paintbrush and I just paint. Speaking of paintbrushes, that is actually what I'm going to be using to apply the sealer. There are also other ways of doing it. If you have a really large area, you could do a roller, a paint roller, or they actually make things that are probably designed to do this, but a paintbrush works just as well, especially if it's a small area. I'm just gonna have my sealer here and pour it in a little bucket, paint container, and use my paintbrush, and I'm just gonna put a good coating over the brick and get all down into the creases and crevices. Once I get that on the entire floor, I'll just let that coat dry. Another tip for doing this is, you've heard the expression to paint yourself into a corner. Well, you want to paint yourself into a doorway where you're gonna wanna stay when you get the flooring done, so you're not having to walk on it while it's still wet. In my experience from when I did this the last time, it does seem to dry pretty quickly, but I would at least wait the 4 hours before putting your second coat on. And there is actually gonna be 3 coats total done. So even though it's a simple, easy process, it's a little bit time consuming, but well worth it. I also want to mention that there are different types of sealer that you can use. The kind that I'm using is a penetrating kind, so it actually kind of goes into the brick in the mortar or grout, and it's also in a matte. Once it's dry, it really doesn't change the look of how my brick floors or the brick fireplace facing will look when it's done. And that is just how simple and easy it is to seal your thin brick flooring or fireplace or wherever you have it in your house. I would not be afraid to have it as a backsplash. I love it, and I would literally put it anywhere. Thank you for joining me today for this DIY project, and I hope you liked it and could find some value in it. And if so, be sure and hit the like button and subscribe, and I will see you here again next week.